So today we are still on money. Our subtract today we are going to start compound interest. Last time we were doing the simple interest. We had some examples on how to find simple interest. The formula of principal times rate times time. We had some examples whereby you are given one, you form an equation, you look for the missing one using the formula. So we are going to introduce a sub new topic or substrat, which is compound interest. And compound interest is whereby you do something we call compounded, whereby if you are given years like 1 year, 2 years, you do each year alone, and the principal starts from the first principal. The second interest, you add it to the first principal, that becomes the next principal. So that's why we said it is compounded. And we are going to have some examples on compound interest, whereby the formula is all the same because it is interest. The only difference, it is compound because it is compounded. That means when you get the interest of this year, when you are starting next year, you add that interest to the principal. That becomes your next principal for the next year. That is the only difference between compound interest and simple interest. Simple interest is just done once, and that principal, whatever you get, becomes the interest. So we are going to have an example on how to do the compound interest. I've said the formula is all the same, only that in compound interest you separate and do 1 year by 1 year. Each year is done alone. Lulu deposited some shilling 32,000 in a circle. The circle pays compound interest at the rate of 10% per annum. Find the total interest earned after 2 years. The total interest earned after 2 years. Compound interest, I've said it is just given as the same as compound interest is just principal times rate times time over 100. Just the same way we were doing with what? Simple interest. But now in compound interest, we are going to do compounded, whereby now we are given here the principal, which is 32,000, and then we have the rate, which is 10%, and the time is what? And the time is 2 years. In this one now, if it was simple interest, we will do the 2 years together. But in compound interest, you have to separate each year alone. So this is what you do. You start with the first year. The first year interest. The first year interest, which is given by P times R times time over 100, which is going to be principal, which is 32,000, times rate, which is 10 over 100, times 1 year for the first year. So you get the interest for the first year, which is going to be 3,000. First year interest, which is going to be 3,200. So to get the principal for second year, you are going to earn the first principal, which is 32,000, plus the interest that we have got, which is 3,200. Are we together? So which is going to be what? When you add the two, which is going to be 32,000, plus 3,200. 32,000, which is going to be 32,000 plus 3,200, which is going to be 35. So this now becomes our next principal. This is what we are going to use. So second year interest is going to be principal times rate times what? Time over 100, which is going to be 35,200 times 10 over 100 times 1. Because each year is done alone by this, and this gives you 35,20. This is the second interest. So total interest for the 2 years is going to be 35,20 plus 3,200, which gives you 67,20. So our total interest becomes 67 what? 20 shillings. And that becomes our correct what? Answer. That is now for today. We are going to do the total compound interest, the interest only. So this becomes the total interest. When we meet next time, we are going to talk about the amount. Now you are given all the interest, and then you ask the amount. And I think in simple interest, I have given you the formula of getting the amount, which is given by the total interest plus the principal. Total interest plus the principal gives you the amount. Thank you for today. That marks